Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all the return of the Discussion of the Week video segment right here on Otaku Assemble. Weekly, as always, I'm here to bring you the latest in this week's Discussion of the Week video segment. But before I jump into this week's Discussion of the Week topic, I want to go ahead and remind you all that you can now pledge to my comic book miniseries Totems on Kickstarter.com. Link will be annotated right here on the video, right here, right above. So you can just click on the annotation, it'll lead you straight to the page. Also, I want to let you guys know that I've been nominated for the YouTube Geeky Award, Comic Uno's YouTube Geeky Award for Best Legend of Korra Vlogger. So, annotation to that video will be right below. Click on the annotation for the link to the video, and you all vote for me in the comments of that video. Voting ends tomorrow, so let's get those votes in. But with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into this week's Discussion of the Week topic. And this week's topic comes from Mr. JC8000, who states, your opinion on creativity in the modern day compared to that of the past. Do you believe that people are losing the creative nature in multiple forms of entertainment, manga, comics, movies, etc.? Is there a reason why this is happening? And finally, is there a way to overcome the loss of creativity? So, as I've done in previous Discussion of the Week videos, I'll go ahead and try my best at tackling each of these questions. First and foremost, my opinion on creativity in the modern day compared to that of the past. Now, an overly generalized statement would be that, of course, creativity in the modern day is much different than it is in the past. To go into a little bit more detail about that statement, pretty much my opinion on the matter is this. I believe that creativity in the past is somewhat of a different nature. It's somewhat of a different creed than it is in regards to creativity nowadays. In the past, because we were always making advancements in technology, we were always pushing the envelope on what was possible in different forms. I'm talking about not just the entertainment industry, but the industrial industry. We were always looking to produce the next great innovation in those respective fields. And so I think that there was more drive, there was more hunger to bring that about in the past. Whereas nowadays, since we have kind of reached the pinnacle of technology, now it seems like any innovations that are made in these respective fields, there's a number of things going on with them. Either number one, they take too long to bring about because we are so advanced now that any step beyond that takes so long to develop. Number two, it gets lost in the fold because they are always putting out new products, new technologies, new movies, new books, so on and so forth, that the real unique ones kind of get overshadowed. They get lost in the bombardment of products being produced. And I think those are the two main reasons why creativity, the really creative work, seem to be somewhat hindered. I'm talking about the ones that have already been made. They seem to kind of be hindered in today's modern society. Now, do I believe that people are losing the creative nature in multiple forms of entertainment? Absolutely. I think that there is a huge decrease of creativity. But like I said, there are multiple reasons for that. Now, earlier I mentioned the products that were already made, the creative, unique products that are already on the market that you might not know about. Why that is because the reasons I mentioned earlier. Now I'm talking about the ones that are being created or have yet to be created, or the ones that might not ever be created. And what are the reasons for this lack of creativity? Well, number one, technology. Because of our advancements in technology, like I said, we are no longer requiring people to push the envelope on what was possible. I mean, to use an example of what I'm talking about, if you just go back and you look at, let's use film as an example, film and animation. If you go back and you look at Mary Poppins, when that was first released, what Walt Disney was doing with drawing on top of filmed footage, that was new. No one had ever done that before. And once that movie was released, everyone was trying to come up with the next big thing. But nowadays, I mean, hell, everyone's using CGI in movies, and no one's really pushing the envelope on that. As long as it looks good and as long as it looks pretty. And I mean, hell, do we really have to bring up the whole 3D fiasco? I mean, come on. And now they're talking about doing like 4D and stuff like that. And it's like, none of that, in my opinion, is creative. It's all just regurgitation of what's already been done. You see where I'm going with this? So in that regards, like I said, technology. Another thing I think is going on with technology is the role it plays in youth's lives nowadays. You know, before adults were worried about, you know, television hindering children's development, and then they were worried about video games hindering children's development. Now they're worried about the internet hindering children's development, which I do have to agree with, because children nowadays are spending too much time indoors. They are. I mean, so much so to the point where Nickelodeon has to shut down their network for one day out of every year to remind kids to go outside and play. That's how bad it was. We didn't have that when I was growing up. They didn't need to do that when I was growing up. Why? Because we took our asses outside and we played. But, you know, kids are either, if they're not inside watching television, if they're not inside playing video games, they're inside on the fucking computer every goddamn day. You know, kids have to be told to go outside. Kids have to be told to read. And I think that's hindering the creative process. Kids aren't allowed to be kids anymore. You know, kids aren't going outside, they aren't getting exercise, they aren't getting blood pumping in their bodies that get the creative juices flowing in the first place. Not to mention, do I even have to talk about the education system? I mean, in school, how many schools are struggling nowadays to maintain all of their creative programs, all of their art programs, all of their music programs, all of their theater programs? Why? Because school districts and they want to get rid of these programs to save money. Tax cuts are, you know, whenever a state does a tax cut, the first thing to go is education. And in education, the first thing to go is the creative programs. Why? Because those programs do not produce revenue for schools. They aren't like athletic programs. You'll never have to worry about a school losing its athletic program because it makes money for the school. But I gotta tell you, the cultural shock I experienced first school I went to that didn't have a creative arts program. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know? And that's happening nationwide all across our country. So what you're talking about is you're talking about technological advances in society that are hindering children's development, but then the one place where we actually can influence that, which is in school, that's being pulled too. So what you get is a result of a bunch of kids who, they're good technically. Don't get me wrong, you know, you hear every year about, oh, test scores have risen and, you know, this generation is the best and the brightest. Yeah, sure. They know mathematics, they know science, but can they draw a picture? Do they know anything about color theory? Do they know anything about creative writing? Can they write a poem? Can they express themselves, you know, in words? No, they can't. Why? Because what we're getting is we're creating Generation Y, which is resulting in these small, and that's another thing, man, they're so fucking small. And we be looking, it's like, do y'all motherfuckers eat? Do y'all get exercise? What's going on? We get these small, introverted, socially awkward kids that can't think outside the box. And then when you're talking about industries, when you're talking about the industrial industry, how every car looks the same. When you're talking about the entertainment industry, when every movie is just a regurgitation or a remake or a reboot or a fucking sequel of some kind. No one is pushing the envelope. And then to make matters even worse, when people go out and they indulge in this entertainment, they're putting all their money into the bullshit. They're not putting their money into the independent films, the artsy films, the ones that are actually trying to do something creative. So that just reinforces to the industry that, hey, this is what the people are buying, so this is what we want to produce. And the vicious cycle continues and continues and continues and continues and continues. And that's how we found ourselves in the situation we're in right now. Like I said, it's a vicious cycle. I've pinpointed some causes, but like I said, there is no one, oh, that's the cause. You see what I'm saying? There's so many different causes for so many different reasons and so many different factors that factor into that, and it all creates a vicious cycle. Is there a way to overcome the loss of creativity? Absolutely, but it's going to take a huge amount of effort from adults in regards to the kids. So, just off the top of my head, what am I talking about? Number one, parents, tell your children, put down the video game, turn off the TV, turn off the computer, go outside, take your ass outside. Now, you might think, Larry, what does playing outside have to do with creativity? Well, speaking from personal experience, when I would go, back in the day when I would go outside, me and my friends, we'd go outside, we'd play all day. By the time it got into the late afternoon, the evening, we'd be dead shit tired. So then what we do, we go back, to one of our houses, or go back, hang out in the garage or something. And then we'd start playing games. We'd start playing, Pokemon, trading card games, Yu-Gi-Oh, and stuff like that. And then, we'd be talking about our favorite shows and, favorite movies and stuff like that. And then we'd start talking about, oh, yeah, man, that was so cool. Hey, did you check out this comic book? Yeah, man, that was so cool. But I wish they would have did this. And then we'd start talking. If nothing else, going outside and playing, it will create a dialogue with other children that you can potentially start thinking in creative manners. I mean, hell, you all who watch my videos, you guys know I love talking about entertainment. I love talking about, movies, music, anime, manga, cartoons, comics. I love talking about all that shit. Books. I love talking about that shit because while I'm talking about creating the dialogue, the creative dialogue that needs to take place in order for any type of creative process to take place. You need that to happen. And also, like I said, there's a physical thing about it. When you go outside, when you're physical, when you're running around, stuff like that, you're getting the blood pumping, you're getting it flowing through your body. That way the creative juices can start working in your brain. There's an old saying, when your body is tired, work out your mind. And that whole type of thing. Also, parents, tell your kids, turn off the TV, turn off, put down the cell phone, turn off the computer, turn off the video game, and read. I can't stress this enough. Not enough children are reading. Not enough children are reading nowadays. And then some of the kids who are reading nowadays, they're reading bullshit. Parents, please urge your kids to read and then screen what they're reading. Do a bit of reading yourself so that you know what type of shit your kids are being exposed to, because even though reading is good, there is a difference between good reading and bad reading, and you want your kids to be doing good reading. So please, parents, urge your kids to read. I can't stress that enough. There are so many. I mean, do I really have to get into the discussion about how reading contributes to the creative process? I don't think I do. So parents, please urge your kids to read. Parents, please do not ignore your kids when they are trying to speak out to you about things that they need in order for some type of creative process to happen. If your kid wants a coloring book, get their ass a coloring book. If your kid wants a sketch pad, get their ass a sketch pad. I mean, if your kid comes up with an idea for a story, don't just blow them off as, oh, you just want attention. Actually sit there and listen to them. Let them tell you their story, and hell, contribute back about, hey, okay, son, that was a pretty good story, but I think I know how it can make you better, and create some type of creative dialogue with your children. This shit needs to happen. And then finally, parents, talk to your schools, talk to the teachers, talk to your principals, talk to your school representatives and your school board about getting creative programs into these fucking schools. I can't stress that enough. there is a way in which we can solve this problem, but I think that it comes at a huge responsibility and a huge effort and a huge undertaking by the parents and by other adults. We are the ones who will have to fix it, because the kids can't do it on their own. They just can't do it. They don't have it within their ability to do it. So parents, you have to be the ones to do it for them. Open the door so that the kids can fucking walk through it. That's what I'm saying. Don't close it in their face. Okay, not to go off on too much of a tangent. That kind of came off as a rant, I know, but that's an issue that I feel very passionately about, having experienced a lot of the problems I mentioned in this video personally. So, you know, I'm real adamant about this type of shit. But I want to go ahead and I want to thank Mr. JC8000 for the great topic. Thank you so much for that topic, and thanks to the 26 of you who voted that topic up. Thank you so much. And now, to wrap up this video, in the comments below, please leave topics for next week's discussion of the week video. As I've mentioned before, I really love the topics that have like multiple questions in them pertaining to the topic, just like this week's did. Those are the ones I really look for. And of course, thumb up the topics that you want to see me discuss, because the one with the most thumbs up is the one I'm going to tackle in next week's video. And another thing I want to mention, if I missed a topic, like if you all have mentioned topics in previous videos that I couldn't get around to, by all means, reintroduce them, bring them back up to the fold. That way, you know, just keep bringing them up. And also in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this topic so we can establish a creative dialogue and we can get this motherfucker going. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me this week for my discussion of the week video. Coming up later this weekend, I have Comic Book Hollywood is making a return with my review of 300, and I'm going to kick off my Smallville season reviews this weekend. But one more time, I want to remind you all to pledge to my comic book mini-series Totems on Kickstarter.com. Once again, the link is annotated right above, and don't forget to vote for me for the Comic Uno's YouTube Geeky Award for Best Legend of Korra Vlogger. The link to that video is annotated right below this one. So with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and until next week, peace.